need to. Today, we're going to share details about the Farmworker Housing Repair Loan Program that CHT launched earlier this year. This program will assist farmers make essential repairs and improvements on their farm worker housing. And although we typically focus our programs in Northwest Vermont, this program is available throughout the whole state. I'll begin my presentation with a look back over the last few years on what shaped much of the thinking about why this program is needed in Vermont. And then Julie Curtin, CHT's Director of Homeownership, who is co-presenting today, will share details about how CHT is marketing and administering this program for everyone. But first, I want to give a quick reminder about who CHT is, and a very quick slide here, a reminder of our mission. We'll just leave it up there for a few seconds for you to take a look at that. Essentially, we provide permanently affordable housing and community assets for Northwest Vermont. And secondly, just a quick few facts on who we are as an organization. We have grown certainly over the last decade or so, but a quick reminder of the program, who CHT is, and who we serve. And again, it's showing Northwest Vermont there, but we do have a couple of programs that work statewide. And then broadly, we want to think about our work as a continuum, providing programs that move people from homelessness to home ownership, both in terms of capital assets, in terms of where people could live, but also in terms of services and programs for people to be successful all along this continuum. Again, thank you again for being here. So again, as you know, the living conditions of many farm workers are substandard, and there has been a lack of resources historically to address this issue. Recently, the legislature asked the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board to address this problem. And the benefit of VHCB spearheading this effort is the blending of their housing and agricultural expertise, along with the network of partners that they work with in these areas throughout the state of Vermont. So in April in 2021, VHCB released a farm worker housing needs assessment. And this assessment found the following: farming is a challenging business and it is highly regulated. And as a result, there are many barriers to farmers being able to make capital investments in housing for their workers. Also found there are roughly 2,100 farm workers in the state, and approximately 2,000 of those non-family workers live on a farm. And an additional 6,500 low-wage hired workers live off the farm. And dairy farms provide the most on-farm housing and are more likely to employ migrant workers. So to be clear, farm worker housing is part of a larger affordable housing challenge in rural Vermont due to the low wages of the workers and the lack of supply for housing for people who need it. In the fall of 2021, VHCB issued a request for proposals to implement the loan program to make repairs to existing farm worker housing. CHT responded to that program and partnered with the UVM Extension Service to provide a proposal to implement the program. It's important to note that UVM has been researching farm labor needs for a number of years, including those related to housing. So they felt to us like a very good partner to bring into our proposal. Also, again, important to note that CHT already runs several other loan programs. Lending is not unusual for us, including a statewide mobile home lending program that has been going on now for about a decade and has been successful throughout the state. But it's also clear to me, and I think for us at CHT, that the work and advocacy of groups supporting farm workers has led the way to this particular initiative. We come at this somewhat humbly. We come at this in response to the range of needs and issues in the community. And we come at this, I think, in the context of knowing that we're doing work on behalf of many others. So in that context, there's a lot of thanks that needs to go to folks at Migrant Justice, the Milk with Dignity campaign, UVM Extension as our partners, and I'll even call out Buster Cosmo because I know you're here, Buster, and I know that in any given moment you might send us a note and prompt us to begin to do the work that we need to do. So with that, I want to just sort of thank everybody for their advocacy that enabled this program to be here today. So with that, I'm going to let Julie take over from here and begin to give us details about the program. Julie?
Thank you, Michael. As you said, the Farmworker Housing Repair Loan Fund, which is our program, is a statewide program, and it's available to farmers that have a demonstrated need for affordable resources to address their farm worker housing needs for on-farm housing. For this first round of funding, we have $500,000 in loan capital from VHCB. And we can use this fund to make loans to farms to make health and safety repairs and improvements to their existing farm worker housing. Other eligibility requirements for the program include having an active engagement in farming activity, as demonstrated by a minimum of $75,000 in farming activity revenue per year. Also, being able to demonstrate that there's a real need for these resources to address farm worker housing needs. And without these resources, the housing would not be improved. An applicant has to have an adjusted gross income that is under the USDA income threshold for federal programs. And finally, the applicant must commit to maintain the housing for farm workers for a minimum of 10 years. These funds go to the farmer from CHT in the form of a forgivable loan in the amount of up to $30,000. The loans charge 0% interest and will be forgiven after 10 years as long as the housing is improved and maintained and used for farm worker housing. After a farmer has applied for the program and has been selected as a candidate for a loan, CHT staff meet with the farmer and do a site visit to develop the scope of work. During the site visit, we use a comprehensive checklist to evaluate all the health and safety aspects of the housing based on the Vermont Rental Housing Code. We discuss the needed repairs with the farmer, and after the site visit, we send them a list of all the repairs that need to be included in the scope of work. The farmer then obtains bids from contractors to complete the work. And once we have those in hand, we can close on the loan and the farmer and the contractor can start the construction process. When the work is complete, farm workers will have improved, healthy, and safe housing. For this initial round of funding, our loan application was deadline was in April of 2022. We received 45 applications representing $1.8 million in project costs. We've made loan commitments to 16 farms to improve 21 residential buildings using this $500,000 of loan capital from VHCB. These units, once complete, will house approximately 110 to 135 farm workers. The loans represent a mix of farm types, including 9 dairies, 2 orchards, and several veggie and diversified farm operations. So far, we have closed on 2 loans and are close to closing 3 more soon. This will allow us to make the improvements and have them be complete in time for winter. The repairs represented in the loans that we are making include, but are not limited to, wastewater systems, air sealing and insulation and window replacements, plumbing upgrades, noise mitigation measures, overcrowding relief, mold remediation, roof repairs, heat system installation, electrical upgrades, and food prep and storage improvements. To give you a sense of the types of projects that we're doing through this program, I'd like to give you an example. One of the dairy farms in the program has 4 to 5 workers living in an old farmhouse that is in need of repairs. The farm already renovated another house for additional farm workers and wants to bring this house up to a similar standard. The farm workers often gather at the old farmhouse to share meals and companionship. Having quality housing near the barn also allows the farm to receive the help it needs. This farm works closely with their farm workers to establish schedules and norms related to good housekeeping, such as requiring that trash be brought to the dumpster at the barn on a daily basis. Workers and the farmers hold meetings to talk about caring for the home. The farmer also spoke highly of programs that help their workers maintain independence, such as having a driver's license, which helps workers go to the grocery store, medical appointments, and give their coworkers rides. At least 3 other farms that are in our pipeline provide housing for workers and their families. These housing repairs will benefit both the workers and their children and partners living with them. During this process, we've heard from multiple applicants that they value providing safe and quality housing to help improve the mental health of their employees and keep them interested in working at the farm. They say that turnover is less when the homes are maintained. As farm worker advocates have requested, we anticipate additional funding to make larger awards to farms that need to fully replace substandard housing. We're looking at a variety of models, including zero energy modular homes or ZEMs and manufactured housing. We look forward to completing the projects in our current pipeline and expanding the positive impact of the program with additional funding in the future.